Cesar Millan has become famous as the dog whisperer. He's being sued, accused of having a pit bull that bit humans and even killed Queen Latifah's dog.
In 2025, millions of people watched videos claiming that Cesar Millan, the world-famous dog whisperer, had been sentenced to life in prison. The story spread rapidly across YouTube and social media, leaving many fans shocked and confused. There was just one problem. None of it was true. Yet the popularity of those videos revealed something surprising. Behind the hoax was a real story filled with controversy, legal battles, personal struggles, and setbacks that nearly changed the course of his life. So why were so many people willing to believe the rumors? And what has Cesar Millan actually been through over the years? Join us as we uncover the truth. The hoax that fooled millions. Before we get to the real story, let's spend a moment on why the fake one spread as far as it did. Multiple fact-checking organizations investigated the life sentence claims in early 2025 and found identical results across every platform. No court documents, no police reports, no credible news coverage, no evidence of any criminal charges, no arrest record, and no booking photographs. Nothing. The videos used dramatic music, emotional narration, stock footage of courtrooms and prison cells, and occasional out-of-context images of Millan from public appearances to create the impression of documentation where there was none. It was confirmed that Millan was actively posting on his personal Instagram and making public appearances at the exact same time the prison hoax was circulating. He was announcing new programs, recording content, and responding to fans. The man who was supposedly collapsing in a courtroom was simultaneously building a new virtual coaching membership and promoting upcoming events at his dog psychology center in California. The hoax was sophisticated enough to incorporate real elements of his biography: his illegal border crossing from Mexico as a young man, his period of homelessness in California, and his genuine past legal disputes to give the fiction a texture of plausibility. People who half remembered while reading something about lawsuits in Millan's past found the fake story easier to believe because they were confusing real but minor legal matters with the invented criminal conviction. That gap between what people vaguely remember and what actually happened is where hoaxes live. The prison story is 100% false. It has been debunked by multiple credible sources. It continues to circulate because algorithms reward the emotional response it generates, and because most people who click on it do not follow up to verify whether it is true. Now, what about the real legal matters that people were confusing with a criminal conviction? The real legal cases. Cesar Millan has been involved in legal disputes across his career. These are documented, verifiable, and matter-of-factly unremarkable compared to what the fake videos imply. In 2006, a producer for the television show Dog Whisperer filed a lawsuit claiming his dog had been injured during a training session and required expensive medical care. This was the second lawsuit filed against Millan in a single week. The case was resolved when both parties reached a settlement in 2007. No criminal charges, no conviction. A civil dispute that ended in a financial settlement, the most ordinary possible resolution for the most ordinary possible legal disagreement. In 2015, a nurse initiated legal proceedings after a dog attack at a facility associated with Millan's training operation, alleging severe physical injuries. As the proceedings progressed, Cesar Millan was officially dismissed as a defendant, meaning the court found insufficient grounds to hold him personally liable. The case against him specifically ended when it was dropped. He was not convicted of anything. He was not even a defendant when the proceedings concluded. The most significant and widely discussed legal matter came in 2016, when an episode of one of his shows featured a training session involving a dog with a history of aggression and a pig. The dog bit the pig. Animal welfare organizations filed complaints. An investigation was launched. The Los Angeles County Department of Animal Care and Control investigated fully and found no evidence of intentional animal cruelty. The case was declined and closed without charges. He was cleared. In 2017, a lawsuit from a woman named Nicholas alleged that his dog Junior bit her leg, causing injuries requiring multiple surgeries. She also made allegations about the dog killing Queen Latifah's dog. The Los Angeles County Animal Control and Sheriff's Department investigated after a cruelty complaint and found no evidence of intentional harm. The lawsuit settled out of court in 2018 with undisclosed terms. Again, no criminal conviction, sentence, or jail time. This is the complete record of real legal matters in Cesar Millan's career. 3 civil lawsuits, 2 of which settled, and 1 from which he was dismissed as a defendant, plus an animal cruelty investigation that was closed without charges. The people making the life sentence videos took this record, which is, by any honest assessment, unremarkable, and transformed it through deceptive editing and fabricated narration into a criminal conviction that never happened. They relied on the audience's inability to distinguish between a civil lawsuit and a criminal charge, and on the vague memory of having read something negative about him to make the lie feel like a memory rather than an invention. The internet spent years debating a punishment that never existed. Meanwhile, the real story of Cesar Millan, the one supported by facts rather than clickbait, received far less attention than it deserved. The real story earns the attention of the hoax stole. Cesar Felipe Millan Favela was born on August 27, 1969, in Culiacan, Sinaloa, Mexico. He grew up on his grandfather's farm in a small rural community, where his ease with animals was visible from early childhood. The neighborhood kids called him El Perrero, the dog boy, because he had a quality around dogs that nobody else seemed to have. He moved through their space with a calm that made them treat him as something closer to a member of the pack than an outside observer. He grew up watching American television, particularly shows about dog trainers, and decided before he was a teenager that he wanted to be the best dog trainer in the world. That specificity, the absolute clarity of a childhood ambition, is the thread that runs through everything that follows. The path to that ambition required him to leave Mexico. In 1990, at 21 years old, he crossed the United States border illegally near the California-Mexico border. What he encountered on the other side was not opportunity, but survival. He spent approximately 2 months sleeping under a freeway overpass in San Diego, eating from what he could find, working whatever jobs he could get with essentially no English and no documentation. He was a young man who had left everything he knew and arrived in a country that had no framework for receiving him. He got to Los Angeles through a combination of determination and the specific magnetism that people who work around animals had learned to recognize in him. He found work grooming dogs. He found work walking dogs. He started building a reputation in Inglewood and Compton, neighborhoods that had little money but had people who needed help with their dogs, by doing what he had done since childhood, walking into a room with a frightened or aggressive animal and staying calm while everything around him got louder. The connection to Jada Pinkett Smith was the break that changed everything. She had a Rottweiler she could not manage. Millan's name came to her through someone who had seen him work. She called him. He came. He worked with the dog in the way that he worked with every dog, without drama, without raised voices, with the specific application of calm authority that had been second nature to him since he was running around a farm in Culiacan. She was so impressed that she funded English lessons for him, helped him with legal status, and connected him to other celebrities in her circle who needed his help. By the mid-1990s, he had founded the Pacific Point Canine Academy, training dogs for a growing list of wealthy clients in Los Angeles. He had rebuilt himself from the man sleeping under a freeway to someone running a legitimate business serving celebrity clientele. He had done it without industry connections, without institutional backing, and without any of the conventional pathways that Los Angeles normally requires. But the foundation he built in Los Angeles was only the beginning. The real turning point came when a television camera crew arrived and transformed his private practice into a global phenomenon. The show that changed everything. Dog Whisperer with Cesar Millan premiered on the National Geographic Channel on September 13, 2004. It ran until 2012. It aired in over 80 countries. It made Millan one of the most recognized faces in television globally, and turned his specific philosophy, calm, assertive energy, the dog as a pack animal requiring a stable leader, into a mainstream cultural framework for understanding animal behavior. The success was real, and the controversy that came with it was also real. Veterinary behaviorists, certified animal trainers, and academic researchers in animal behavior had significant professional objections to the dominance-based model that underpinned Millan's approach. The scientific consensus on dog behavior had moved away from pack hierarchy models, partly because the original wolf studies that dominance theory was built on had been conducted in captivity under artificial conditions rather than in natural wild packs. Critics argued that dominance-based methods that relied on physical correction could increase fear and aggression in dogs rather than reducing it. Millan defended his methods with the conviction of someone who had spent 30 years seeing them work in conditions that no academic research environment could replicate. He pointed to the gap between controlled studies and the real-world crisis of a dog that had already bitten 3 people, noting that theoretical objections to his approach did not come with alternative solutions for the specific emergencies he was called into. The scientific and welfare community criticism never fully abated across the show's entire run. The American Humane Association formally requested that National Geographic pull the show. Individual veterinarians published open letters. The debate about his methods became one of the most sustained professional controversies in the history of animal training, not because his outcomes were demonstrably harmful in the documented record, but because his theoretical framework contradicted what the research community understood about canine psychology. He kept working, the show kept running, and the people who had been in rooms with him, who had watched him walk into genuine crisis situations and change them, continued to show up in his corner regardless of the academic argument. Even as critics and supporters debated his work, Cesar Millan kept going. But in 2010, the stability of that momentum was interrupted in a way the cameras never captured. The personal collapse. In 2010, the year after Dog Whisperer ended its run on National Geographic, Cesar Millan's personal life fell apart simultaneously from multiple directions. His beloved pit bull daddy died after 16 years as his most important working partner. Daddy had been the living demonstration of what balanced dog energy looked like, the most naturally calm dog Millan had ever worked with, and the one whose presence had made some of his most difficult interventions possible by simply modeling the energy Millan was asking frightened or aggressive dogs to find. Daddy had been by his side before the show existed. His death was not a television story. It was the loss of a friend. And then, 4 months later, his wife Illusion filed for divorce after 16 years of marriage. They had 2 sons together. The marriage had been the stable private center of a career built on performing stability in front of cameras. And when it ended, the ground went out from underneath him. He attempted to self-harm. He overdosed on pills. He was found and hospitalized and survived. He did not do what many people in his position would have done with that information. He eventually went public with it, talking about the period with the same directness he applied to everything else in his life. He described going into a deep depression, losing significant weight, feeling defeated and guilty, and unable to find the calm, assertive energy he had spent 30 years teaching other people to project. He told the Tampa Bay Times that going through that experience made him closer to people, that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger had become real to him in a very specific and personal way. He said it had made him watch for signs of depression in his sons and the people around him with an attention he would not have had before. He had been through the thing. He spoke about it so that other people going through the thing would know that coming out the other side was possible. He chose to do that without medication, working through the depression through physical exercise, and by throwing himself back into the work that had always given his life its structure and meaning. Whether that was the right medical choice is a separate question. What it produced was a man who came back to his work having experienced, from the inside, the kind of human suffering that he had been helping other people manage by proxy for 20 years. For many people, that kind of personal collapse would have ended the story. For Cesar Millan, it marked the beginning of a second act. The comeback. Cesar Millan did not stay down. He launched Cesar 911 in 2014 on Nat Geo Wild, a new format focused on emergency interventions with dogs in extreme crises. He toured with Cesar Millan Live, performing dog training demonstrations in front of live audiences using shelter dogs in real time. He built a YouTube channel, a social media presence, and a global speaker career. In 2021, he returned to National Geographic with Cesar Millan, Better Human, Better Dog, the same network that had aired Dog Whisperer 17 years earlier, which was itself a statement about the durability of his relationship with that institution. The new show ran to 5 seasons, with Season 5 airing in August 2024, and shifted its focus toward the human side of the equation, addressing the behavioral and psychological patterns in the dog's owner that were contributing to the dog's problems. In March 2025, he launched the Pack Leadership Community, a live virtual coaching membership through his Training Cesar's Way platform, offering weekly live sessions directly with Millan, real-time question and answer, and a community structure for pet owners to connect with each other. The membership model was a deliberate move toward building a sustainable revenue stream that was not dependent on network television scheduling or production company politics. He partnered with XL Brands on a new pet product line called Trust, Respect, Love by Cesar Millan, a consumer product launch that placed his brand alongside names like Halston and Isaac Mizrahi in XL's portfolio. He was awarded the Medal of Excellence by the Washington Hispanic Caucus in 2023. He launched a podcast called Better Humans, Better Planet in the same year. His official website, as of 2026, lists upcoming intensive events at his Dog Psychology Center in California, with April 30th through May 3rd, 2026 dates for multi-day immersive training experiences. He has over 20 million followers across his social media platforms. His speaking fee for corporate and public events is managed by All American Speakers, where his profile notes that 2024 marked his 20th consecutive year on United States television. The man who a viral video claimed had been sentenced to life in prison was, at the exact moment that video was circulating, scheduling multi-day dog training intensives, posting motivational content for 20 million followers, and building a new virtual coaching community for pet owners. But while the internet was busy declaring a false ending, Cesar Millan's real life was still unfolding in real time. As of early 2026, there is no record of him being arrested, jailed, or imprisoned. He is free, building new ventures, And he is doing exactly what he has done, since he crossed a border illegally at 21 years old with nothing but a childhood dream and an instinct for how to be in a room with a frightened animal. What the hoax cost was something real but unmeasurable. It cost the people who loved him hours of genuine grief before they found out the truth. It circulated in communities that did not have the media literacy to fact-check a YouTube thumbnail, and it generated confusion and distress for families who had watched him for 20 years and believed they had just lost someone they cared about. The real Cesar Millan story, the boy from Culiacan, the man who slept under a freeway, the immigrant who built a global brand through nothing but skill and stubbornness, the man who survived a self-harm attempt and talked about it publicly so that others could know survival was possible, is a story that deserves the audience's full attention. And if you were one of the millions of people who clicked on that video and felt something before you found out it was false, what does that tell you about how much you were actually invested in the man the video was pretending to bury? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.